Okay, guys, we're over here. Hopefully you guys came over here. Help me find it. We have to find the press conference. Oh, so this guy, I don't wanna stream his. Hold on, I gotta find it. Hold on, it's on. Shoot. I'm getting it. Hold on. Help me find it. Who has it, guys? Sorry, I didn't have time because I was over at the other live. If you guys are wondering, I was at another live. I just kinda Where do I find it, guys? Help me. I'm like trying to do it too fast here. Does anybody know where it's at? Shoot. Fox Associ I'm not can't do Associated Press, they copyright. No way. Here, somebody send it to me. I need to find it real quick, and I can't I'm bad at doing it when I'm on a live. Shoot. Somebody email me. Sorry, guys. I woulda had it ready, but I was on a different live, and I actually did take time to hurry up and do, um why can't I freaking find it? This is making me mad. Somebody email it to me. Why can't I find it? I gotta find who's doing it. Anybody? But can somebody email me it? I don't know why I can't find it. I'm, like, in a rush, and I can't I'm bad at doing it when I'm live already. Could somebody just help me out here? I promise I will be able to do it in the future. I can't You said Fox, but I don't see it on Fox. Well, if you could email me, I'm gonna try to find it here. I just don't wanna miss it, and I'm having trouble finding it right now. Come on. I'm looking for the Rob Reiner, up what are you guys talking about? The Rob Reiner press conference, isn't that why you guys are here? Sillies. I'm doing the I'm doing the press conference. I'm just trying to find it, and I can't freaking find it. It's making me really mad. Come on. I hate not being able to find something, guys. I know it's on somewhere, but I just can't find it. I can't do Associated Press, they copyright. The heck? Well, I guess I shouldn't have done this because I can't freaking find it. And I'm getting really mad. Oh, are you saying because it's not even on like that you it's not even like on where it's not I don't know. No, that's not it. What do you mean? That's just you sent me a 7 News. I don't see any press conference on here. Oh, is this it, you think? Okay. Maybe this is it. Maybe that's why I couldn't find it, 'cause you're not actually on here. I don't know. That's why I hate doing press conference because with my OCD, I get so nervous that I can't find it in time because it usually doesn't come on
And that
early.
that film was nearly a decade ago, 2016, being
Why is it
charted as the
black?
movie that both Nick and Rob Reiner, father and son, collaborated on, and it was
Look, it's
kind of
black.
a film that kind of depicted Nick's own struggles that he went through with
That's
drug
not
addiction and
it.
something that he battled until recently. We know from a security guard who spoke to our cameras outside the house in Brentwood that Nick was, as of recently, back at the Brentwood property, living there, and that he was still struggling. We see
Okay, here we go. No, it's not letting. It's turning black. Oh, there we go.
Expected
It
to
won't let
speak,
you. Look,
any moment now. You see the
they have it so
massive
you
crowd
can't
of
do it.
media
It's
to
black.
get the very latest on this
They have it
developing
blocked.
investigation. Again, no official charges.
CNN has
This
it
point have been
blocked.
filed against
That's what's
Nick
going
Reiner,
on.
but that could happen here.
Yeah, I'll get it. Hold on. That's why I can't. That's why I've been able to find it, because it's actually not technically on yet. But hold on, I'll try to do Fox. They have it blocked though on CNN. You guys saw that, right? When you click on it, it's blocked. That's crazy. Somebody help me find the. I can't find the live part with Fox. Where the heck is it? You guys just tell me. Help me for this, because I just can't do this.
Josh, and I'm no expert on California law,
Here
but if I
it
understand
is.
it correctly,
Okay,
first
now
degree
let's see.
homicide or felony murder.
I don't know
carries
if this
with
is
it the
gonna work,
potential for life
because they might
imprisonment,
have
and
it blocked too.
theoretically
Let's
in
see.
California,
Oh
the death
no,
penalty,
okay.
although it hasn't been employed, I believe, since 2006.
Dang it, dude.
But in order to get first degree, you would have to have some level
See,
of
you could hear it, right?
premeditation. And that might be hard to prove in this
You
case.
could hear
So
it,
you bring
right?
in the
So here's the thing. Associated Press, they might even copyright me. Associated Press copyrights every single time, so I can't use them. I can't use BBC. There's certain places I know I can't use where they copyright, so that's why I'm limited. Fox even usually does. I'd rather find something other than Fox.
Would make him eligible,
but some
for
Fox
life
is good
without
and some
parole, or
isn't.
even the death penalty if they decided to pursue it.
I don't remember if this
you're
Fox is the one
right.
that
A lot of this
copyrights.
is going to come down to what were the circumstances, the facts of the murder itself, which to me has a lot to do with the time.
I'm going to see if it's on any other better ones too. Wow. Now at least we have it up.
So much about.
Now
And
watch
these
how
murders,
much
we're also
better
hearing
you guys
reports about where
watch.
the murders may have taken place.
Now that I don't have the stress of finding it and I have at least it up, watch how I could find everything now. It's that stress, like when I'm live and people are expecting something and I don't have it prepared, my brain cannot do it. It's like I freak out. It's like the pressure, but now I have no pressure because I have it up. Now watch, I'll find every single one. I'm going to go look for it. Hold on.
Potential sentencing. Mercedes, this caught my attention. Alan Jackson is a defense attorney visiting the scene of the crime today. I'm not familiar that often with defense attorneys, criminal defense attorneys, visiting the scene of the crime.
There's a lot of coordination, Will, and it's true that it definitely piques everyone's interest because it's something you don't see very often. But Alan Jackson is a very seasoned, well-known criminal defense attorney. Obviously, he must have coordinated with law enforcement, with the prosecution. One thing he has to be particularly careful of, he doesn't want to disrupt the collection of evidence. And this is still, it could still be a crime scene. It may have been at this point completed and is no longer considered a crime scene, which would allow him to have access to the home. But nonetheless, there's a lot of coordination that takes place, especially when you're talking about a familiar type of murder where you already have the individual incarcerated. You have to make sure that the collection of evidence is done in a way that neither really at all affects the defense or the prosecution, because it could.
So what's the purpose of the coordination other than visiting a location where you're guaranteed to be around cameras and the press? Is it really, I mean, criminal defense attorneys, and I have three of you here with me, criminal defense attorneys usually rely on investigators, or they rely on police reports and look for flaws in the police reports or in evidence collection. They don't really oversee evidence collection at the scene of the crime.
But it's called the chain of custody. And we all know this. We're all lawyers on this panel. It's a chain of custody. How was it collected? Who was involved in the collection? Was it done appropriately? Was everything done and collected? And frankly, Alan Jackson, and it looks like he had an entire team go through it, he's making his own observations, which frankly is going to be very critical for the defense. He's going to look for items. Were there items, was it look like there was a struggle? Does it look like there may have been some way to detect that maybe perhaps that Nick Reiner was not in the presence of mind to know exactly what was he doing at the time of these killings took place. I mean, these are all very critical pieces for any defense attorney. So anything that he can do and say, and certainly with his own eyes and with his team's own actually witnessing, that's when it's going to really be critical for him as to whether or not he can use it in the defense of the case.
We just got the 5-minute warning. This press conference will start in just a few moments here in Los Angeles. Trey, something else that stuck out to me today was, again, Nick Reiner's attorney, Alan Jackson, saying he was not medically cleared for transport to appear in court. What does that mean in this context, or how do you read that? He's not medically cleared.
So every inmate needs to be medically cleared in order to travel to a court appearance. And they need to be cleared by a doctor. And some reasons that you may not be cleared, or maybe you have a physical injury, you just had a surgery, maybe you have some type of mental situation that doesn't allow you to sit still. There's a number of reasons why he couldn't be medically cleared. Or maybe the doctors didn't get a chance to get to him. We really don't know that, but it's standard protocol, standard practice. And, you know, there could be a number of things that happen. Maybe he was injured, you know, at the incident. Maybe he's coming off drugs. Maybe he, you know, has some type of mental deficiency, mental impairment that won't allow him to sit there, you know, but it's standard protocol.
Let's go through just while we wait on this press conference to start. I want to focus in on two set of facts. I'll go back to you, Josh, with the circumstances as reported by TMZ of Nick Reiner's arrest. He was arrested at a hotel, I believe, in Santa Monica, some 15 miles away from the crime scene. Again, the reports from TMZ, who have spoken to hotel staff, is that he checked in without much sign of that a crime had taken place, no visible signs of blood, but that later hotel staff said that his room was covered in blood. What do you take away from those facts?
Yeah, I think that's important too for setting the timetable, like we were discussing earlier, of when he checked into that room, and then when they saw the signs of, you know, what they're describing as the room being bloody. That's going to help us place when these murders actually took place, because right now all we know is that their bodies were discovered the following afternoon from that party on Sunday afternoon, with the party being on Saturday evening. So that to me is going to be a crucial role in setting the timetable. The other thing too is this an indication of flight? If he didn't remain on scene after these murders, and they're trying to set themselves up for some sort of insanity defense here, as I know a lot of people have.
I don't know which one to go, guys. I don't know which one to do. This one doesn't seem like it has as good of a service. But the only thing is like the chances, if they copyright, KTLA and some of the local channels won't copyright. So I don't know if I should take a chance with Fox, or should I just keep this one on? It might not be as good. Now look, it's because it hasn't started. That's why I couldn't find them. They have their big thing up, but then they weren't live yet. It happens every time. Like when I'm waiting for a live stream, all the freaking, you Google it and it's all there, but it's not actually up yet. So you have to wait. I'll have it like this. Okay, never mind. That one didn't start.
That mental state, that intent.
Oh, I thought it
and
did.
challenge
Okay.
that.
It looks like they're still organizing there at the podium, getting set to speak.
I have
there
the other one
in
up. I might
Los
switch it
Angeles.
over. I'm
In
waiting
fact,
till it
this may
comes
be the
up.
beginning of that press conference. Why don't we take a break with Mercedes Cohen, Trey Lavelle, and Josh Ritter, and listen into the press conference now starting in Los Angeles.
Yeah. All right. KTL doesn't have it up yet. They're still spinning.
All right,
Jerks.
it appears the
I'm just
audio
kidding. They're
has
not
not
jerks.
yet been patched in for a network feed, so we're going to continue to
Wow.
monitor that. It looks
They
like
don't
he's
have
setting
the
the
audio
stage
yet.
for what will be the press conference in just one moment. Pretty casual conversation, as we can see there in Los Angeles, but we will get that audio worked
I
out.
want
when
to
it
talk
looks
to you
like
guys
that
about it,
press
but
conference
I'm
is
just
set to
here we
begin.
go.
In fact, now it is, and I believe we have the audio. Here, we'll take you
I'll
out
just
to Los
keep it.
Angeles.
Attorney of Los Angeles County. Today, I'm here to announce that our office will be filing charges against Nick Reiner, who is accused of killing his parents, actor-director Rob Reiner, and photographer-producer Michelle Singer Reiner. These charges will be 2 counts of first-degree murder with a special circumstance of multiple murders. He also faces a special allegation that he personally used a dangerous and deadly weapon, that being a knife. These charges carry a maximum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. No decision at this point has been made with respect to the death penalty. We have requested, and currently Nick Reiner is being held without bail. Now, before in announcing charges, I also want to announce that they're just that.
There.
They are charges.
Yeah.
Charges are not evidence. Evidence is something that we will be presenting in a court of law to meet the standard of proof we meet in every criminal case, which is beyond a reasonable doubt, to 12 jurors who you'll unanimously have to find that we've met that standard to prove the charges we bring to court. Right now, with respect to the process, once the charges get filed this afternoon, Nick Reiner will be then brought to court. He is going through medical clearance, something that everybody who gets arrested and gets held in a Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department jail goes through. Once he is medically cleared, he will be brought to court to be arraigned on these charges. At that point, he will enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. Now, prosecuting these cases involving family members are some of the most challenging and most heart-wrenching cases that this office faces because of the intimate and often brutal nature of the crimes involved. Rob Reiner was a
Guys, I guess I have to sign in. Hold on. Hold on. Don't leave. This just didn't turn out very good. KTL still doesn't have theirs. What the heck? Hold on, guys. We'll get it all. Don't worry. I guess you have to have signed in. This turned out bad. I'm going to have to re-upload something. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, you have to pay for it. I'm not paying 20 bucks a month for Fox. Hold on. Sorry. You said TMZ. Here we
in
go.
the media, rumors. You will hear speculation. You will hear hearsay.
All right,
And
I'm going to
asking
rewind
everyone
it
to
from
do
what
is
we
to rely
missed.
on trusted sources. If it
Sorry.
doesn't come from the district attorney's office, from LAPD,
I'm going to rewind it,
the
okay?
equally iconic photographer and producer deadly weapon, that being a knife. These charges carry a maximum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. No decision at this point has been made with respect to the death penalty. We have requested, and currently Nick Reiner is being held without bail. Now, before in announcing these charges, I also want to announce that they're just that. They are charges. Charges are not evidence. Evidence is something that we will be presenting in a court of law to meet the standard of proof we meet in every criminal case, which is beyond a reasonable doubt, to 12 jurors who you'll unanimously have to find that we've met that standard to prove the charges we bring to court. Right now, with respect to the process, once the charges get filed this afternoon, Nick Reiner will be then brought to court. He is going through medical clearance, something that everybody who gets arrested and gets held in a Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department jail goes through. Once he is medically cleared, he will be brought to court to be arraigned on these charges. At that point, he will enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. Now, prosecuting these cases involving family members are some of the most challenging and most heart-wrenching cases that this office faces because of the intimate and often brutal nature of the crimes involved. Rob Reiner was a brilliant actor and director, an iconic force in our entertainment industry for decades. His wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, was an equally iconic photographer and producer. Their loss is beyond tragic, and we will commit ourselves to bringing their murderer to justice. I want to thank LAPD Chief McDonnell, who is here today, along with Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton from the LAPD and LAPD Captain Scott Williams and the entire robbery homicide division, who literally has been working around the clock to gather the evidence that have led to the charges we're going to be filing today. Also from my office, I have Assistant District Attorney Maria Ramirez. I have Director of Specialized Prosecutions, John McKinney. I have our Head Deputy of Major Crimes, Craig Hum. And I have the two prosecutors who will be leading the prosecution in this case, Assistant Head Deputy of Major Crimes, Habib Balian, and Deputy District Attorney for Major Crimes, Jonathan Chung. They will bring their decades of experience to holding this murderer accountable for his actions. At this point, again, you will hear in the media rumors, you will hear speculation, you will hear hearsay. What I'm asking everyone to do is to rely on trusted sources. If it doesn't come from the District Attorney's Office, from LAPD, from the Coroner's Office, or from the courtroom itself, then there's a good chance you are hearing misinformation. Because at the appropriate time, the actual evidence involved in this case will be presented in a court of law. So I ask for your patience until that is done. But again, please do not rely on rank speculation, rumor, or hearsay to believe that you understand anything about what went on in this case. I'd now like to turn it over to Chief McDonald.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here today. And it's with deep sadness that I address the tragic loss of Robert and Michelle Reiner. On December 14th, 2025, LAPD officers from our West Los Angeles division responded to a death investigation at the 200 block of South Chadbourne Avenue, which is in the Brentwood section of Los Angeles. Upon entering the residence, they discovered the bodies of Mr. and Mrs. Reiner. Detectives from our Robbery Homicide Division Homicide Special Section immediately initiated a comprehensive investigation. The evidence gathered led to the arrest of their son, Nick Reiner, who was taken into custody later that night without incident in the Exposition Park section of our city. Today, the Los Angeles County District's Attorney's Office has formally filed charges against Mr. Reiner for the murder of his parents. This case is heartbreaking and deeply personal, not only for the Reiner family and their loved ones, but for our entire city. We extend our deepest condolences to all of those who were affected by this tragedy. I want to take a moment to recognize and thank our criminal justice partners, the District Attorney's Office led by DA Hochman, and everyone who worked tirelessly on this investigation. Their swift action, professionalism, and commitment to justice have been instrumental in bringing clarity and accountability to this case. The LAPD remains steadfast in our mission to protect life and uphold justice. We will continue to support the Reiner family and ensure that every step forward is taken with care, dignity, and resolve. Thank you.
We'll now take some questions. Yes, right here in the front.
Yeah, Mr. Attorney, could you talk about why you feel this case rises to special circumstances?
So special circumstances is a situation where one of the enumerated factors that lead to elevating in some ways a first-degree murder case to a special circumstance first-degree murder case occurs. One of those special circumstances is called multiple murders. Here we have two, and it qualifies under the definition of multiple murders to allege the special circumstance in this particular case.
Chief,
I saw
how
over
was
here.
Nick Reiner found, and was there any evidence on him indicating a crime, or did he say anything?
Yeah, he was found with good, solid police work, investigative tools used by Robbery Homicide and Gang and Narcotic Division detectives with the U.S. Marshal Service Task Force involved as well. So we're thankful for the work that was done. I won't go into talking about what was found or anything that could potentially taint the investigation.
Given Nick's history of drug use, was there any indication that he was under the influence at the time of his drug?
No, thank you again. That's another question I can't touch.
What led you to investigate an absence of mental illness in his background?
I'm sorry, please repeat the question.
Is there any evidence of mental illness in his background beyond the addiction?
The evidence, any evidence, if there is any, of mental illness for his background will be coming out in the hearings that will occur. We anticipate, again, after the arraignment, the process will go through the normal process a case like this goes through. at the appropriate time, if there is evidence of mental illness, it will be presented in court and in whatever detail the defense seeks to do that.
Mr. Hockman.
Yes, right here.
Are you anticipating any kind of significant delay in bringing this case to trial on the basis perhaps that Nick may have to undergo significant psychological evaluation, which would also give your people what they need in the way of background as to what might describe why his actions happened the way they did?
We don't anticipate any significant delay more than is involved in a first-degree murder case with special circumstances. These are some of the most serious charges that a DA's office can bring against anyone. And we anticipate that the discovery that we will produce to the defense will be robust. It will be very involved. They'll want adequate time to review it. They'll want to go through every single factor that they can ascertain in the defense of Mr. Nick Reiner. So again, this will proceed along the tracks that many of the first-degree murder cases proceed. Do I anticipate it being particularly fast? No, I anticipate it being very thorough. Yes, right here. We are not at this time.
Mr. Hockman.
Mr. Hockman. Yes, right here.
Did the members of the Reiner family help with your investigation so far? And did they provide any information or assistance which led to Nick being arrested?
I'm going to defer to the chief on this.
I am Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton, Chief of Detectives. We don't have any specific information we're going to release at this time regarding the family's information they provided. As we move forward, that information will be discussed in the appropriate venue, which would be the court.
Can you describe the scene your
Yes, in
office
the front
found,
here.
sir?
Sorry for the chief. Can you talk anything more about just not the condition that Nick was in when he was arrested? Was he a resident? Was he walking around? Was he observed by people in the neighborhood? Like anything else you can tell us about the nature of the
So specifically, he was arrested in a public area in the Exposition Park area near the University of Southern California campus. He was approached by the officers and he was arrested without incident. There were no indications that there was no indication that he was going to resist or anything like that. He didn't flee or anything like that. He was taken into custody without issue, and he was transported to our police headquarters facility.
Take a question back there. Yes.
Murder weapon found?
He has been alleged, one of these special allegations is that the murder was committed with a deadly weapon or a knife. As to where and how the weapon was located or will be located, that will actually be evidence we'll present in court.
Mr. Hockman.
Let me take a question over
Can
here.
you give us a timeline of when you think the murders occurred? Because now we know that there was an altercation on Saturday night at a party. Do we know that this happened Saturday night or maybe Sunday morning?
I'll defer to the chief on this one.
Yeah, we don't have, I'm sorry, we don't have that kind of specificity yet. We're waiting the coroner to be able to try and determine as best they can at this point, time of death.
Chief, who called 911?
Chief McDonald.
Who called 911?
Mr. Hockman, can I?
We'll take the question back there.
Yes, can you tell us who called 911?
Chief.
Okay, so in terms of how the Los Angeles Police Department became aware, it was a request from the Los Angeles Fire Department, who responded to the scene first. We responded to their request for assistance at the scene of the incident. Our initial West LA officers that responded determined that a crime had occurred, and they immediately notified our robbery homicide division. They've responded, and they have taken over the investigation since that point.
Can you describe the scene?
Can you say?
When do you expect when they're bringing?
One more question.
Can you
take it right here.
I know you're hesitant to talk about sensitive evidence, but based on the evidence collected to support these charges, did that include an admission by the defendant to the alleged crime?
So any statements made by the defendant at any point in time would be the type of evidence we will be presenting in court. Let me take one. I'll take one last question right here.
Sorry, I have a question.
Hold on one second. I just identified this gentleman.
Oh, I thought you were pointing at me.
Sorry.
We have an estimated time of completion of the autopsy, the information coming from the medical examiner in your office and to the detectives in the case.
We do not have the estimated time that it will take. We know that they're working on it expeditiously, but as to when they deliver it, we do not have that estimated time. I'll take that one last question.
Sorry. I
I was just wondering, I know these types of cases are especially difficult. How much do you take into account what the family wants when it comes to charges when you're dealing with a domestic situation like that? And does that factor into whether you will go after life of parole or possibly the death penalty?
In these cases, like any of these cases, we will take the thoughts and desires of the family into consideration in making our decision. Thank you all very much.
How is the arraignment?
When do you expect there to be an arraignment?
Is there an arraignment tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'm still there.
Sorry. Yep.
Does anybody need Spanish?
All right, we got
Interesting. You guys, I don't know if you guys saw. Just want to see if they're.
Well, so we now have an official invitation.
Okay, so let me take this out. So I did a premiere on this video on this case last night. If you want to check it out, I played 3 of him and his dad's interviews. And then hold on, let me pull up some stuff. Hold on a second. We'll talk about it a little bit. 1 second, guys. So yes, if you guys, I'm sure you guys follow this case are aware of this case and how he was, a recovering addict, on and off drugs. There was a big blow up fight at the Coney and O'Brien. There was a like a Christmas party they went to, him and his dad and his mom at a party. Supposedly it was over money. Like he was trying to he wanted to have his dad lend him some money for a video he was wanting to make, I guess. And they were arguing about it. And a lot of people saw it. They said that happened often, them arguing, him and his dad arguing. A lot of them call him a Nepo baby, like Nepo kid, like like selfish, ungrateful kid that, gets what he wants. Supposedly like him and his dad would fight a lot in public, but they said like if anybody tried to like cut in and stick up for Rob, stick up for his parents, like then they would turn around and stick up for their son, I guess. So it's like it seems like they were really good parents. And I know there was probably some struggles growing up with your dad, this big, in the movie industry, this big star, he was in All in the Family, and then behind the scenes, this big TV director, producer, star, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm sure that came with some struggles. I mean, I'm not blind to that. I mean, sure, growing up in that you could get like kind of pushed back in the shadows, but I heard Rob was like a great person. Even people that supposedly that disagreed with his political beliefs, because he had very strong political beliefs, I guess. And I was interested in this. My mom said she was reading up on this because I was thinking, I bet, like maybe he has, if you watch some of his interviews about the movie, he even brings up political stuff. So I'm like, I bet you, like, I'm wondering how he was with like people that had different political beliefs, but I guess he was fine. I guess one of his best friends had a different political belief and they would argue or debate and then he was fine. It wasn't like, that he held it against you, I guess. But I mean, you'll see, I didn't even know really. I'm just watching interviews of him and his son. Right. And every time he brings up political stuff, his dad did. So I was like, wow, this guy is pretty strong on that, like bringing it up, trying to get it out there. But I guess he was a heck of a nice guy. His son was a recovering drug addict. They think he was back on drugs, I guess. Hold on, let me bring up. So that's why his dad didn't want to give him money for the movie, because he thought, well, yeah, how do I know you're going to use it for that and not drugs? I'm talking about recently. Now he did a movie in 2016, I think it came out, called Being Charlie. Is like a semi-autobiographical film about his life, about Nick's life. So I had, like I said, check out my video I did last night. I'm gonna play some stuff. We could watch some of it over again. Because I think it's interesting. I actually wanted to do a video. Maybe I could do it now if you guys are interested, playing some of the interviews and like talking about it. So if you want to watch the interview straight through, I have, I think, 3 or 4 of them just compiled on that video I did yesterday. It's under my pre-record section. So under my video section, not my lives. If you want to check that out. But if not, if I play some right now, I want to actually stop and talk about them if you guys want to. But let me see if there's anything. Hold on one second. I want to see if there's anything like new updates that. This article is really interesting. I read this on my video last night, but I want to put out some key points in this because I think it's really interesting. So it's about the fight. So it says, Rob Reiner's drug-addicted son, Nick, hacked his beloved director, dad, and mom, Michelle, to death after a massive blow-up at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party Saturday, where the Nepo baby freaked out everyone and left Reiner terrified of what he would do next. The trio reportedly ended up in a very large argument, possibly because Nick was back on drugs and refusing yet another go at treatment. After at least 17 stints in rehab since 15, so he started drugs at 15, he's been struggling addict. Sources told Post on Monday, Nick was freaking out, acting crazy, kept asking people if they were famous. So this is the most recent picture. Well, this is from September at the red carpet event for that, what's it called? The full picture it shows. Oh my God, I can't even think what the movie's called now. I have the full picture where you can see the movie in the background, but he walked the red carpet with his mom and his dad and his sister, I think, and his brother. Well, let me see which one. They were all there. I think they were all there for that. Hold on, let me find that picture. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This one right here. This is where they, so Spinal Tap. So this is his sister, Romy. So this is the sister that found his parents. Found him. Can you imagine? And she walked in, where we're going to be reading it on this article. When she walked in, she knew instantly it was her brother. She said, "It's my brother. He's dangerous." This is her other brother, Jake. Romy, and then he has another daughter he adopted, and I don't know. I think her name's Michelle with his first wife. Wait, maybe it's not Michelle. I forget what his other daughter. She's not in here, but so yeah. Let me finish reading that one article because it is actually good. If you guys haven't seen it. It said the embarrassingly bitter blowout occurred less than 24 hours before I don't even know what that. Nick allegedly slit his parents' throats and stabbed them multiple times in his family home. They had an argument at Conan's party, and Rob had been telling people that they were scared for Nick and scared that his mental state was deteriorating. A lifelong family friend who lives near the Reiner home. I keep wanting to say Rainier because I went to high school with a Rainier and it was pronounced Rainier. So if you hear me accidentally pronounce it that way, just ignore me. I know they pronounce it Reiner, Rob Reiner. Yeah, but that's why, because I have a friend and it's Rainier. Anyway, Nick was supposedly off drugs, but then talk surfaced that he was not so much off them. The neighbor explaining at the accused killer's son's lowest point over the years. He was badly addicted to a combo of opiates and heroin. Another friend of the family said, I know the parents wanted him to get help, go to rehab, but he wanted to get help while at home. He did not want to get treatment at the facility. And here he is right here with his brother, his parents, and then his younger sister, Romy. And this is in 2015. So this was about around the time he was making that Being Charlie movie. Rob, 78, a beloved Hollywood legend, famed for everything from his acting roles as Michael Meathead Stivic in the classic All in the Family to directing a big screen classic such as Stand By Me and The Princess Bride, quickly left the O'Brien get-together with his photographer wife, Michelle, 68, after the fight. Nick began screaming at his father in front of other diners at the posh Giorgio Baldi restaurant in Santa Monica Canyon. A worker there confirmed to the Post. Nick's sister Romy, a 28-year-old magazine writer and aspiring actress, reportedly found their parents' bodies around 3:40 p.m. Sunday. There him and his dad are. She told investigators at the time that her brother should be a suspect because he is dangerous, sources said, and Nick was nabbed hours later and charged with the murders. He was being held without bail on S-Watch. Rob and Michelle had another son, Jake, 34, who worked as a TV reporter in Houston and hosted a podcast on the LA Dodgers. The famous dad, previously married to former sitcom star Penny Marshall, also adopted his ex's daughter, Tracy Marshall. Oh, her name's Tracy. Sorry. I don't know why I had Michelle, probably because that's his wife's name. So Tracy is her name. I came from the greatest family ever, Tracy, 61, told NBC News on Monday. So I don't know what to say. I'm in shock. So here they are. There's him. And then his other brother and his daughter. An unsmiling Nick last publicly appeared with his parents and siblings, Jake and Romy, when they all walked the red carpet September 9th. That was that picture we saw at the Spinal Tap 2, The End Continues premiere at the Egyptian Theater in Los Angeles. The wayward son had been battling drug addiction for more than half his life, ended up broke and homeless, sleeping on the streets at times, he said in interviews. At one point, he founded an environment nonprofit called Save Malibu, but it did not last a year. It didn't even last a year. These poor people did everything to help this kid, said the family friend who told the Post that Nick was balking about going back to a treatment facility. Those futile efforts, including Rob pulling out all stops to help Nick produce the 2015 semi-autobiographical movie Being Charlie, including by using his own years of expertise to direct it and calling on Hollywood connections to pack the credits. But his spoiled son was ungrateful, a cast member said. The pair had at least one vicious argument in front of the cast and crew during filming with them, just going off on each other. Stunt performer Eric Oddie told Page Six, "You could tell Nick was spoiled and Rob was just sick of his shit. I just assume whether this is correct or not, this kid must be pushing all his buttons. A Nepo baby, a spoiled kid to the T." Oh, it says, Rob can't do anything right. Any goodwill sown between the awkward father and son duo during the project could not overcome Nick's long-standing, simmering resentment of his father. The son, equally famous, late comic genius Carl Reiner. So that's Rob's dad, was a comic. There's their house. I think Nick really resented his dad, or maybe hated himself for not being as talented, prolific, or beloved as his dad or granddad, a source told Page Six. 2 months before Rob's death, the director was asked by interviewing Piers Morgan for which his films he wanted to be the most remembered. And people have their favorites. They know you. They're asking Rob, yeah, what one do you want to be known for the most? And he says, people have their favorites. They, in the cliche, we all love our children, even the bad ones, Rob said. Nick's resentment of his father apparently boiled over into something darker, even before it took a deadly turn over the weekend. And there's another picture of him. He aged very quick. 9 years. You saw what he looked like, and 9 years later, wow, he looks older than in his 30s. He looks like he's in his 40s here. This is not the first time their son has been violent, the family friend said. The day after the slayings, I know of another incident a few years back with Nick, but I won't say more than that. I just never thought it would ever get to this point. It's such a nightmare. Nick admitted in 2018 that he once trashed his parents' home during a meth-fueled rage, which I have a little clip of that I'm going to play where he's talking about that. But there he is right there. It's not much of a story. I got totally spun out on uppers. I think it was Coke and something else. And I was up for days on end. I started punching out some things in my guest house. A former classmate of Nick's told the Post Monday that she instantly knew he was the suspect in his parents' murders when she heard the news. A security guard hired by the community to patrol the family's ritzy Brentwood hood because of looting after the Palisades fire in January told the Post that Nick had been living with his parents for at least the past year. You could tell something was a little off with him, the worker said. He's a strange individual, The guard said Nick specifically had one friend he would invite to his parents' multi-million-dollar home. I would meet him right here, said near the entrance. I'm not sure who he was, but I'd always see Nick sneak off with him. I don't know what they were doing. The Reiner's murder stunned and shattered the country's gilded movie-making community. It's probably his drug dealer, I'm guessing, right? Kathy Bates, who starred in Reiner's 1990 film Misery, which won her an Oscar, told the Post, I'm horrified hearing this terrible news. Absolutely devastated. And somebody, a fellow director, Ron Howard, said he proved to be a superlative filmmaker, a supportive colleague, and at all times a dedicated citizen. Well, I thought that was a good article. That was from yesterday, though. Like I said, I had already read that, but let me, oh my God. Why? Go over. Now when those come out, I can't get them to go over. It's so annoying. Okay, so let me pull up, hold on a second. I want to pull up a couple of the parts of his interviews. We won't watch all of it, but I want to watch some with you guys. So, okay, hold on one second. Okay, so let me pull up. You know what I could do? Look at him. Oh my God, look at him when he was younger, Nick. His dad looks old. See, his dad looks older than he is too, a lot of times. But look, that's him, and that's his other brother, and then his mom. There they are. It's him right there. All right, let me pull up those interviews I wanted to play. Okay. Let's see. There they all three are. He had a hostile dynamic with his siblings. Whoa. Nick had a hostile dynamic with his siblings, according to a new report. The 32-year-old who has been arrested for his parents' murder allegedly always had a volatile relationship with all of his family members, including brother Jake and sister Romy, a source told US Weekly. Romy, in particular, has been so traumatized by Nick's behavior over the years. Wow. I'm gonna pull up some of those articles too. It's been so much of their life. Rob and Michelle were honest about their struggles with Nick, and those who spent time with the family saw it firsthand. Look at him, like looking at it. He's looking at his sister, and there's the other brother. Nick interrupted, okay, what is it? Early 2000s. Nick interrupted pretty much all of their yoga sessions for 20 minutes or so with intense screaming. She insisted the late couple tackled their son's issues head on at the time. Another insider told us that Nick really resented his dad and hated himself for not being as talented, prolific, or beloved. Rob and Michelle were found stabbed to death. Okay, so, wow. At Holiday Bash, the duo reportedly got into a very loud argument. Okay, I already read this. Hold on. People reported that Nick had been freaking everybody out. She has always been close with her parents, and watched their constant pain over Nick has impacted her and the whole family. Talking about Romy. They did everything a parent could possibly do to help him, the insider alleged. Even in his younger years, they really tried to get him help. And then it became a cycle of seeking treatment for him, kicking him out or leaving the house, him moving back in. And it says Nick had battled drug addiction for more. I'm going to pull up these original articles. But this is kind of nice. They kind of have him pulled certain quotes out of it. I kind of like this. The hostile dynamic, that's interesting. And I already read this. Now it's just, okay, so we read all those. That is interesting. I like that post. Page 6. I'm going to go to them. Tweaked out Nick allegedly fled to a hotel after parents' murders, leaving room full of blood. Is that even true? Where did they say they picked him up again on the press conference? I was so freaking preoccupied trying to find things. Did they say at a hotel? Because it says the hotel room Nick fled to after allegedly murdering his parents was found covered in blood, according to a report Tuesday. The 32-year-old suspect reportedly checked into the Pierside Santa Monica hotel using a credit card around 4 a.m. Sunday, just hours after a heated shouting match with his legendary director father, Conan, at Conan's party. And somebody says they didn't notice at the desk that he comes in all bloody. And somebody says, I would say that he already had the room rented before he killed his parents, probably. Because if not, then he probably snuck in. It says, as a retired hotel manager, you could call the police if he's covered with blood, but chances are he didn't come in covered with blood. He may have carried bloody clothes in a bag. Front desk people also are trained to respect privacy. You expect them to ask the guest why he was bloody. Could have been from a bar fight, especially in the middle of the night. Also, you have to pay attention to his behavior. These are the comments. Okay. Oh, there's a video too of him, Billy Crystal, and his wife going to his house, which I'll play that. That's in my video I did yesterday too. They're most decent, courageous people you ever want to know. Rob and Michelle, somebody says. He's representing him? What? I didn't know.
His reason for not coming today, I know we talked about it on the elevator, but why isn't he here?
Every inmate has to be medically cleared before they can be transported to court. He has not been medically cleared. It's just a procedural issue. MCJ, Vince County Jail.
Just to triple confirm, the murder case is not been filed.
I have not received any filing, and I don't believe the court has received any filing at this point.
You're spoken to your client at all?
I'm not commenting any further than what the procedure of the court today is.
How is your client's spirits today?
He's not here. That's the whole point. He's not here yet. We'll be back day to day. The bailiff has indicated that the sheriff's department will take it on a day by day basis, and so hopefully he'll be cleared tomorrow, and we can get him here.
And again, the reason why we're not having it today.
Oh my goodness! How many more times do I have to say it?
Sorry,
Eric. Why is he not here today?
Medical
He's not been medically cleared.
That's right.
Not medically clear.
Correct. Every single inmate goes through a medical clearance before they can be transported to court. Everyone. And that's a process. It's just a procedural issue. And he has not yet been medically cleared. So sure.
Do you mind? Can you describe his state of mind at all?
He's not here.
I understand that.
I haven't seen him
at all.
No. I'm not saying that. I haven't seen him today.
Have you had any communication?
I'm not commenting any further than the procedural issues today.
Can you tell us who's retained you? Retained you?
No, as I said, Eric, I'm not commenting any further than the procedures that are occurring today.
Interesting. Alan Jackson. That's true. If anybody could get him off, it's him. Alan Jackson is a heck of a good lawyer. He's Karen Reed's old lawyer. I knew that was going to happen, though. See, and I don't know how I feel about this, but you know how everybody was on his side for that Karen Reed. Or was like, oh my God, he's so awesome. And me too, because I love the outcome of the Karen Reed case. But he's bound to represent people that we're not going to like. And so it's gonna be interesting to see how. I'm not saying with this case, because some people might be able to, I don't know, once I learn more, might be able to kind of like, if he does insanity or whatever, might be able to kind of like, okay, this guy is nuts in the head or whatever. I don't know. Not enough's out yet, so I'm not gonna say my opinion on it. But there's going to be bound in the future where he's going to represent people that we're going to not like him because we're going to know they're guilty and the stuff he's pulling. And I just knew it was going to come. Like, he's going to represent people we hate. But hey, he's a high profile lawyer. So usually celebrities or people with a lot of money, because he costs a lot of money. But I have a question. Where is Nick getting all this money? So is he using all of his dad's money? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it might have been passed down to him but no, when it comes to murder, he can't get, when you murder somebody to get the money, that's not going, no. So how is he going to pay for him? He better not be you. He better not get any of his dad's money. You know that Alan cost millions of dollars. You know that. Now he might just take this case on for the publicity, but normally he costs millions of dollars. So either, oh, that's gonna make me mad if he gets to use Rob's money. That'd be bull crap. Anyway. Hold on. I'm gonna play parts of my video, but I just want to look through this because this has had some good stuff here so far. Hold on. So we're gonna watch that. This is what we just watched. Wait, there might be more. This says TMZ. Let's see. There's quoting the same thing that we just watched. But I was just wondering if there's going to be like anything extra on this. Let's see. I'll see how long it is. Probably not, because that was a good couple minutes that we just watched. So I bet you this is only a couple minutes, but let me just see.
No parents tonight. No parents.
Hey guys, out of the way.
To represent Mr. Reiner. And his reason for not coming today, I know you talked about it on the elevator, but why isn't he here?
Every inmate has to be medically cleared before they can be transported to court. He has not been medically cleared. It's just a procedural issue.
And where's Mr. Reiner now, currently?
MCJ,
Okay.
Vince County Jail.
And just to triple confirm, the murder case has not been filed yet.
I have not received any filing. And I don't believe the court has received any filing at this point.
Have you spoken to your client at all?
I'm not commenting any further than what the procedure of the court today is.
How was your client's spirits today?
I got another one.
That's the whole point. He's not here yet.
Can we expect a hearing tomorrow?
We'll be back day to day. The bailiff has indicated that the sheriff's department will take it on a day by day basis, and so hopefully he'll be cleared tomorrow, and we can get him there.
And again, the reason why we're not having it today.
Oh my goodness! How many more times do I have to say it?
Sorry. 3 more.
Eric, why is he not here today?
He's not been medically cleared.
That's right.
Not medically clear.
Correct.
How long
Every
does-
single inmate goes through a medical clearance, whether they be transported to court. Every one. And that's a process. It's just a procedural issue. And he has not yet been medically cleared. So we'll be there hopefully tomorrow.
Now I'm going to go through his interviews, but just because I did a pre-record on it yesterday, I'm just going to read a couple more things that I haven't talked about yet on my videos. And then I want to watch those, some of those interviews with you guys. I found another article that I want to go over first, and then we'll bring up my video. All right. Because I think it's important. Hold on one second. Because I haven't read it yet. I just saw this. You guys may have, but this is my first time seeing this article. Okay. So this is, yeah, because it is from today. Oh, shoot. I'm going to make it, I'm zooming it in just one second. Okay. So I wonder if I make it a little bit. Yeah, you guys could still read it. Okay. It says Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, were enjoying loving dinners. So this is, let me do the, I stayed with Rob and Nick Reiner weeks before Grisly murders, what I saw inside the family home. Okay. Rob and his wife, Michelle, were enjoying lovely dinners and TV time with their children just weeks before being violently stabbed. Cinematographer Barry Markowitz, one of Rob's close friends and longtime collaborators, exclusively spoke to Page 6 about recently staying at Reiner's residence in Brentwood, California. I may have been one of the last people to see them, he shared with us over the phone on Tuesday. That must be him. Yep. So that's him. And then cinematographer Barry, who was one of Rob's close pals and collaborators, recently stayed at the residence. Markowitz explained to Page 6 that Rob had invited him to stay at his home while he was in town for the November 14th premiere of his latest film, The Perfect Gamble. They would say, "You're staying here. You're not going to no hotel. There's no free fridge, good toilet paper, no family." The Tel Aviv-based director of photography recalled. Markowitz joined Rob, Michelle, and their kids, Nick 32, Romy 28, as they went about their days, business as usual. The couple's other son, Jake, 34, was busy elsewhere with work. There's Rob and his wife. There's a overview of his home, his mansion. Romy was in and out of the house, and at dinner time, she comes over and we all bullshit together, Markowitz said, while describing their time together. We would scream at the TV, we watched a movie and a basketball game, played with the dogs, family time. One big love fest. Markowitz noted that Nick, who has publicly struggled with drug addiction issues since he was a teenager, seemed to be on the upswing. He looked great. He was sitting and talking with the family, Markowitz shared. They eat dinner together, old school, and a lot of love, always a lot of love. So this is on several films, him and Markowitz. So he stayed with him for 5 days. Okay. Markowitz told us that during his visit, Nick would go out and play tennis or shoot hoops. He was also around and present during dinner time. He helped out. He took out the garbage. He watched TV. He washed dishes. The award-winning cinematographer recalled, he'd bring me something to drink. He was just normal in that sense. Markowitz noted that he didn't notice anything strange with the family dynamics. They were busy working and doing stuff, he said, of the Reiners. The help was there. The secretaries were there. Sorry, secretaries. The secretaries were there, in and out of the house, business as usual. That's odd because the rumor is that he might have been back on drugs. So I wonder if that happened like real recent, like I mean, sometimes people can't tell if you're on drugs. You know what I'm saying? It depends if he's on like a binge or if he was up, if he got sleep, he might have been able to hide it. He might have just started using again, so he wasn't that strung out. Who knows? Here's a picture of all them, but you could tell that's old. Markowitz described his 5-night stay with the Reiners as being a blast. I think what's puzzling the most, the 360, is that there was so much love that it doesn't jive, Markowitz said, referring to Nick being arrested on charges of murdering his parents. I'm not here to judge anyone. Love is the only thing I saw, and I don't think it was a fake. They had a real bond of Nick's mental state, he added. It's just a sickness. That's my verdict. Wow. Markowitz told Page 6 that Rob and Michelle never, ever, ever gave up on Nick during his public battle with drug addiction over the years. They gave him everything. They tried a million things with him, not giving him money, but sending him to the top of the lines places, he explained, referring to Nick's multiple stints in rehab. Rob never gave up. He tried everything. If you knew Rob, he was just a bundle of love. As for Michelle, Markowitz described her as a balabusta, I don't know, using the Yiddish word for an exceptionally skilled homemaker. She was the kingpin and she was the strength, the rock, he gushed. Here's that movie. I'm going to have to watch it. I bet you I like it. Screenplay by Nick, directed by Rob. Markowitz, who was the cinematographer on the 2015 film Being Charlie, so he had some experience working with Nick too, written by Nick and directed by Rob, also denied that there was any father-son tension on the movie set. I cannot remember no tension. We were just having a decent time, all of us. One big family, and there was no fights, he claimed. Markowitz went on to tell us that Rob and Michelle had no reason to think that Nick would ever hurt them, despite Nick admitting to once destroying his parents' home during a drug-fueled rage. Rob never had fears for his safety. I'm not in his head, but we talked. Nick was not violent. Nick wasn't a violent type, he alleged, which others say I don't know. It's crazy because sometimes you could present yourself in one way to a certain situation, but behind the scenes, the real you, some people know you as a different person. I slept in the same house as Nick. There was never a thought, I believe, in Rob's head that Nick was a danger. If he would have thought his life was in peril at any point, he would have handled the situation. With Nick being arrested in connection with the murders, Markowitz said he doesn't believe Rob and Michelle's son had any motive to harm his parents. When somebody is mentally disturbed, you don't need a reason. There's no rhyme or reason, he explained. Mental illness, that's the reason. Markowitz, who worked on 3 films with Rob and viewed him like a brother, said he is totally broken after losing his friends. I can't believe they're not here, he said of Rob and Michelle. I'm looking at the iPad. Everything is Rob Reiner. I started crying. I want to call him up and say, hey, buddy. He added, Rob was like my family. 4-5 days later, I'm here in this effing nightmare. Found stab wounds to their neck. I guess he like slit their necks, it sounds like. They tied the knot in 1989 and shared 3 kids. These 3, or Rob and Michelle had the 3 kids and they tied the knot. So Jake, Romy, and Nick were all their 3 kids. Rob and Michelle were found stabbed to death at their home. Rob was 78, Michelle 68. Nick was arrested on murder charges. He was set to be arraigned Tuesday morning. However, it was postponed as Nick's lawyer told reporters that his client was not medically cleared. So that's what we were watching with Alex. Alan, I always used to call him Alex too, Alan Jackson, sorry. That he wasn't there because he wasn't medically cleared and to be transferred to court. The All in the Family alum and Michelle reportedly feuded with Nick at Conan's Christmas party Saturday, just hours before they were discovered. Rob and Michelle tied the knot in 89 after meeting on the set of the director's famed film When Harry Met Sally. Oh, that's kind of precious. So when Harry Met Sally, when Rob met Michelle, I'm cheesy. Along with his 3 children with Michelle, Rob adopted daughter Tracy, 61, during his first marriage to the late Penny Marshall. Interesting. Okay, so let me pull up my video I put out yesterday. I'm not going to play it all, but I want to play a few clips. Okay. His parents' house. This is cut right into it, but here is, I'm playing.
I got totally spun out on uppers. I think it was coke and something else, and I was up for days on end, and I started punching out different things in my guest house.
Like a frame, like what? Like a stuff.
No, I think I started with the TV, and then I went over to the lamp, and then everything in the guest house got wrecked.
Did you punch the TV?
Yeah, I literally punched the TV.
Did you like lacerate your hands? I mean, that sounds bad.
Yeah, did you hurt yourself?
I don't even remember at this point.
I want to read this article real quick. Now I want to play another clip, and then I want to play the interview. Hold on. I want to play where here Billy Crystal's walking with his wife, because they live, I guess, close to him. So when he saw all the cops and stuff, they started walking to the house. Crystal and his wife, I guess, walking up to see what was going on. I guess they live really close to him, and he was friends with Rob. I'm going to play a couple clips. I'm going to play a recording. Okay, so now I want to play an interview, a couple interviews, and kind of go through it. And while I'm playing one, I'm going to go run down and get a cup of coffee, but I'll be watching because I want to point out some things here. Hold on. On the interviews. Okay, so. Oh, this is interesting. Let me just play this really quick. So this is outside their house. And this guy, you could see he has a Twitch thing on. He's a streamer. And I guess there was something outside. He said he got like assaulted or something. I thought that was kind of interesting because all the reporters are outside Rob's house. So let me just play this real quick before. Influenced clash with police outside Rob Reiner's house. It was going on. So I thought this was kind of interesting.
Hi, how you doing? Not well. Yeah. The gentleman over here was threatening me.
Yeah, there's a lot. He said, she said, a lot of.
I have everything on stream. I have thousands of viewers. I'll show you my footage. Okay. The guy tried to grope me. I have autism. I'm sitting here minding my own business. Guy kept grabbing me inappropriately, and I'm uncomfortable. I want to press charges. I want to press charges. Yes. Let's go down there. I'm gonna leave my stream here. That's fine. Please, we'll just go to the end. I'm leaving my stream here so we can see it. It's a little bit quiet. Gentleman over here is making threats towards me. My stuff was molested. I'm standing on what I believe in. for my in the chat. He touched my property, and he's invading my creative bubble.
Can you guys step back over there, please? Thank you.
I don't pay a lot of money to directors.
We are. We are.
Look, you're like, it's like blasting that, like in the middle of like, there's a murder that just happened. Everybody's trying to report on it. And this idiot's just blasting that stupid song. That would make me mad too, dude. I mean, everybody's trying to do their reports and this idiot.
Can you turn it down, please? Can you turn it down, please? Someone just died. Just have some decency, please. All right. Is your friend here? All right. Look, we're just trying to keep the peace, keep the music down. We're getting complaints that people are harassing each other around here. There's possibly a pepper spray. We don't want it to get out of hand.
You guys are actually harassing me. They're threatening me.
Okay.
That much to me, like threatening me.
Okay, well, just turn down your music, okay? That's all we want.
After 7 years, I was up a lot of us.
Someone just died, though. We just want to keep the peace. We want to give the
These guys are all like trying to profit off the man that died.
Okay. All right, just keep it down, okay?
Did they pay you?
No, we're getting
They're all
calls.
trying to profit from this.
Okay.
They're all like
Look, we just got phone calls. Just keep it down, okay? That's all we want.
Legally,
All
they
right?
have to keep it down though?
Yes, please. So for the other party? Or, sir, they're trying to get you. Where's the other guys?
Hey, Mexican Randy. Good, Mexican Randy with a big $50 donut. Let's get it. Go.
Hey everybody, Amna Navaz here in New York. I am joined today by the father and son duo, director and writer respectively, of the new film, Being Charlie. Gentlemen, thank you so much for making the time.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having us.
Of course. So I've watched the film. It's difficult to watch in a lot of parts. There's a lot of heavy topics in there. And you've made no secret about the inspiration behind the film. You have battled substance abuse for years. What made you, I want to start with you, Nick, what made you decide to put this story in film form?
Well, it started out as a television show that we wrote. And I get asked this question a lot, like, why would you want to put your story out there? And it was never that difficult for me to share what I struggled about. And it was never like, oh, this will help someone else. It was just like, I have a lot of experiences that might be valuable to other people, but I just find them interesting and I would like the world to know about them. I never thought it would get this far though.
You didn't?
No, and now I have to own up to it.
So how did it get this far? Explain to me how this became a collaboration.
Well, I mean, Nick, as he said, he met Matt Elisafan, who's the other screenwriter. They met in a rehab place, and they started making notes and observations of people that they saw there. And after they both got out, Nick contacted Matt and said, "Hey, maybe there's something in this. We should write something."
Mm-hmm.
And so they got together and they wrote this half hour, and they showed it to me, and I thought it was funny, but I thought it lacked a depth because I knew
You thought it was funny.
Well, it was funny.
Yeah.
It was funny, but it was
that.
supposed to be a comedy, and I thought this subject really could go a lot deeper.
Mhm.
They then wrote an hour comedy drama, and we tried to set it up. We couldn't set it up, and then I suggested, why don't we try to see if we can make a screenplay out of it? So the whole process took about a year, and Matt and Nick, they wrote this draft that was 190 pages, and they threw everything in that they had, and I helped them shape it, and it got to be what it is. And we took from our experiences, but it was also a combination of other people that Nick and Matt had come across in their times in rehab.
Did you always know that you wanted to be involved on this level?
No. I mean, I did think when Nick was going through his roughest period, I mean, it was like from 15 to 19. And during that period, there was a couple of books that came out that was by father and son, Nick Sheff, and I think it was David Sheff. They're both perspectives on what had happened. And Nick Sheff was, had a drug problem, and the father was a writer, and they wrote these two different books. One was called Beautiful Boy, the other was called Tweet. And I thought, hey, maybe there's something in there, because I know Nick is going through. I had no idea how difficult it was for him,
Yeah.
but I knew what I was going through, and I thought maybe there's something
in a story. But then I kind of put it aside because I thought this is too raw and it's too difficult. But I guess when we had a little distance on it, then we could kind of start looking at it, and it came to be what
But
it
on
is.
that same point, that's an interesting point you raised. Were you ever hesitant to show your father some of those things you had written? Because there's, as much as you're pulling from other people's experiences, you're pulling from your own as well. Was there ever a moment when you thought this is too much? I don't want him to know all this.
Well, he knew a lot about what I'd went through already, so I wasn't any concerned at all about what it was in there about me. But the father character initially was harsh on him, and I, believe it or not, was not wanting the character to be that villainous, and it was hard for him for a while to think that I thought of him that way, and to convince him that that's not how I felt, but that fathers do get in that mode sometimes when they're trying to help their kid who's in danger.
And it's interesting that he mentions that, because I did think that. I mean, the father originally was written as very black and white, bad guy, and I thought, oh God, that's what Nick thinks of me, and oh my God, I thought that was, But then he actually came about halfway through the process. He said, the father should be it should be a little bit more dimensional. I mean, he's like too much of one thing. And oddly enough, I took that as to be, oh, he's feeling better about me now. So he was able to say that. But the character evolved. And I do think that over the course of making the film, that, our relationship definitely changed and it wasn't that was terrible or anything, but it got better because I then understood a lot more of what he had gone through, and I think he understood a little bit more what I had gone through, and then the script reflected that.
Well, how much that brings me to this question, which is just, how much of this sort of helped you to connect on some of the things that maybe you don't in those more difficult times when you're actually going through the process? How much of it was sort of a reflection back on maybe the things you hadn't had a chance to say yet to each other?
I think that none of it was sort of designed to do that for us for a therapy session or anything, but by just doing it, it helped, and in ways that we didn't necessarily think would help. And
we didn't set out to make it be some cathartic experience, but it turned out.
Okay, sorry. I probably would have stopped it, and I was making coffee. Okay. Oh, hey, I wanted to respond to. Thank you. I'm so glad. Thank you I'm glad you liked it. And I'm not going to replay all of it. I just wanted to point out some of the stuff. So what do you guys take from, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen some of his interviews. I want to hear some of your opinions on their dynamic of them. Yeah, if I was up here, I would have fast forwarded some of this because I want to focus more on when he talks, just because so we don't watch the same thing over that we just watched.
That it was.
I guess it doesn't matter, but
I
might fast forward some of his stuff.
When you're making,
I want to focus on when Nick actually talks and their kind of dynamic back, because Rob does most of the talking.
Whether it's a piece of art or it's music or a film, you're investing yourself and the characters and portraying an extension of your thoughts and feelings.
Right.
And so we're doing that, and as it turns out, it became kind of cathartic. But I mean, we didn't set out to say, okay, let's
I can't remember, and I wish I would have pointed it out in my video I did yesterday. There is one part that he rolls his eyes at his dad. I think it's on the other interview, and I wish I would have pointed it out on my video, but I'll find it. I think I know which interview it is. It's a very slow roll, so it's not as obvious, but to me, I think he's rolling his eyes at him. Now, if you notice, when they're interviewing, he will sit there and look at his dad a lot. And I do think he has some kind of, right now, I think he's thinking, this is my movie. This is about my life, right? Well, I'm sure he does realize this, but it wouldn't have got made or wouldn't have became a big movie if you didn't have your dad there to help you. So I think he does kind of realize that, because he does talk about that. But I feel like he could feel like he's kind of in the shadows because, nobody knows him. And now his dad's talking about his life. I don't know. I can't figure out if he's getting upset about it or he just has that weird look. But there are parts I do think he gets upset. Now, right here, he might just be looking at him. But see, when you're watching this, some of the parts where they'll ask Nick something and he's very awkward and he doesn't have a lot to say. So I think Rob has that personality anyway, but Rob is very like, he is good in interviews and he knows what to say and he just flows out of him very easily. So I think it could be in Rob's eyes, like he's trying to help him out a little bit because like they'll ask Nick something and Nick doesn't have a lot to say about it. He'll just answer it real shortly. And Rob will kind of just fill it in because I think he's trying to, you know, since Nick isn't very good at interviews. But so I get maybe why Rob's doing that, but I also get why it might feel to Nick that it's like he's kind of overpowering him on the, you know what I'm saying? Not an excuse. I'm not saying that, but we're trying to figure out like their dynamics here. Like,
let's push through our, difficulties.
Yes.
This will be the vehicle by which we do that. It just so happened to have happen that way.
So these characters you've mentioned, we should catch everybody up out there. If that doesn't alone make you want to watch this film, here's the story.
Yes,
Charlie
resented.
Mills, it's fair to say, as the central character, is sort of a privileged white kid from Hollywood who has a substance abuse problem, runs away from a rehab facility and faces full on his parents who've taken a very tough love approach, rehab or the highway. Is that a fair sort of entry point for this?
That is the entry point, and just like when Nick was going through his his bad times, they told us you have to be tough. It has to be tough love, which is not my nature. I'm not a disciplinarian, and you got to do it this way. I'm just not like that.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm an actor, so I have to act. I'll act like a guy who is tough, and just like it says in the movie, anybody with a desk and a diploma, I listen to because you don't know how to handle it. And so it is that. And I think there's one other thing is that, you talk about it, privilege and Hollywood and all that stuff. And what we wanted to show is that it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you have money, you don't have money, if you're, have advantages, don't. These problems can affect anybody. And we're seeing it now with the terrible, drug abuse that's going on around all over the country. It's like an epidemic with heroin. So
Yeah, and that's wondering if he's like thinking if he has some kind of resentment because he's like, Dad, this is my movie. This is about my life. But I mean, it goes both ways because if it wasn't for Rob, it wouldn't have been even seen. You know what I'm saying? How would he have had the capability of making it? No. Rob has connections and stuff. But yes, I do feel like that when because there's quite a few interviews, they do like a tour to promote the video, him and his dad. He does. But then it's like they do try to ask him stuff and he has like a very short answer. But yes, that's how I've taken it. Not so much yet. I mean, you see a little bit, but some of the parts in the interviews, which I'll point out if we watch, I mean, I'm not going to watch all of them, but if we get to the parts where it does look like he's like annoyed and he's like thinking like, this is my story to tell type thing. But let's watch.
Infiltrating.
If you keep doing drugs, you won't stay privileged for long. You end up, roughing it out.
Right.
Doing stuff.
Well, that brings me to another point. There's a lot of disturbing conversations.
Sure.
It's hard for me to hear that this started out like a comedy because it's not a comedy. Now there's some lighter
there's some
moments.
there's some laughs in it.
There are. There's some good sarcasm. There's the whole aspect of Charlie Mills wanting to be a stand-up comedian as well. That actually, I wanted to ask you about that. How much of you is in that? Was there ever an aspiration to be a stand-up comedian?
Yes. I mean, I did some stand-up as a kid, and one particular show I ended up bombing and relapsing and going to a program the next day. But that just symbolized the stand-up in the movie, just symbolized like something tangible that he could grab onto, that he could focus on, that was his passion, and not, drugs.
But a lot of the humor is very sarcastic. It's very cynical. Even the whole approach to rehab.
Yeah.
It seems to be the message is that rehab doesn't really work.
Well, it doesn't work for some people. We're not the experts to say who it works for and who it doesn't. I mean, AA works for a lot of people. It doesn't work for everybody.
And you have to think about what it means doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like some people could like pretend it works while you're there. Some people could kind of do good for like a little bit afterwards for whatever reason. But more times than not, I've never heard someone say, I went once and got, I mean, I've heard that a few times,
Yeah.
but it's usually like they get out and they go back several times and they think it's their fault rather than the program thinking it's you know, they design it to make it feel like you're the one that's the problem.
Right.
Which, you know, you may be, but there's also more, it's more to it than that.
In the collaborative process, since you were involved from the actual scripting process, you spent several months pulling this together. In any creative process, people will clash, people will disagree. What points did you two disagree on?
We had plenty of times. I mean, there were times we had fights and, you know, we went at each other. And that to me was, you know, at times was difficult. It was very emotional, but it was also the most satisfying creative experience I've ever had because,
Really?
well, because first of all, is my son who I love. And secondly, because better stuff would come out of it. You know, he would challenge me. And, you know, I have such respect for him because, you know, as a young guy and with all the experience that I've had, he still was able to challenge me and push me and say, no, Dad, that's not what happened. That isn't the way it was. And he would, you know, force me to see how things were. And I think that's an incredible testament to him. I told him many times when we were making the film that he's the heart and soul of the film. I've always said that to him.
Yeah.
And he was. I mean, he did push this to be what it is.
And I thought I knew everything at first when I went into this, and then I realized I don't know anything, and I should probably just listen to what he has to say. So we both kind of were like listening to each other.
Well, what's it like for you to hear your
I mean,
father,
that sounds healthy, but
titan in this industry, absolute living legend, say those things about you?
It's nice, but he's my father, so it's just like, you know, probably not as it's perceived from the outside, but I care about it. Yeah, I love it. So.
Do you guys think you could work together again?
Yeah,
Yeah, we could. I think right now Nick wants to forge his own path, and that's great. I mean, if we wind up,
you kind of cut him off there. I would like say, since Nick doesn't have a lot to say, anytime he's saying something, don't cut him off, you know, because I mean, I'm just saying he did kind of, Nick was going to answer that and he cut him off. So that probably didn't make him that happy. I don't know.
crossing again and doing something together, great, but it has to be done, you know, have to be arrived at in a natural way.
As much as this is about substance abuse and addiction and how it can affect everyone, it's about family too. There's a lot of interfamilial relations at play here between mother and father, between mother and son, and father and son. How did you arrive at those kind of calculations for this? How much of that was pulled from your own experience versus compiling together a lot of experience?
Well, that's one of the things that I wanted this to be, which is it is Nick's experience, but it also affected what happened to his mother and me. And so we wanted to make sure that both, you know,
I'm going to speed this up a little bit.
Both represented in the film. So, you know, I have a better handle on what I went through and what his mother went through. And so those things I could inform a little bit better, and then he could inform much more about what he went through. So we tried to show it from both sides because, you know, these problems affect the whole family. It's not just, you know, it's not just one person. It's a living system.
So what is it you hope people watch and take away from this in the end?
I hope they take away whatever they want to take away from it, and I hope they laugh. It's funny what happens in these places. It's not all dark. It's not all serious. There's, like you said, light moments.
And you?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, basically, we just want people to, you know, we want to be part of the dialogue. We want people to take away, ooh, I can see myself there. Hopefully it'll start a dialogue with them because we don't have any prescriptions. We don't know the right way. All we say is that everybody has their own path. This was the path that we went on. And
also question the way everyone wants you to do it.
What do you mean by that?
Think about how unique the experience was to you when you were using or drinking or anything like that, and try to prescribe yourself the best method to recover, instead of being like, oh, I'll do that one size fits all thing that, you know, doesn't work for all of people.
I cannot let you go without asking about this current political climate.
Uh-oh, here we go.
We need to do this. Remember this ABC.
Okay. So he has like his face is not, he doesn't have very many expressions on his face. Like certain times when his dad was saying something, you would think that he would have a reaction to it, like positive stuff. He like just kept that deadpan stare and didn't have like any like emotion or anything on his face, which was that. I think that's what a lot of us are perceiving as like weird, because it's like when you don't have any facial expressions, sometimes it could be viewed as odd at certain times where you expect some. Very weird. Okay. He's just awkward, and maybe, he's not, as in public, like interviews as his dad. He's just kind of an awkward, probably like socially awkward type. So it's coming off as, very odd. But let's watch another one. Hold on. I was going to do timestamps for this. I wish I would have. That would have helped me right now. Okay. This one right here. Hold on.
Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Oh.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. So here's a podcast with him. So his name is Paul Mercurio, if you want to check out his channel. This is from November 17th, 2016. He's interviewing Rob Reiner, and they're talking about his son, and the guy doesn't even realize that his son is back there. And he asks him something like, what do you think your son would think, or whatever? And he's like, well, you could ask him. Rob's like, you could ask him. He's back there right now. So then his son comes up and does the interview.
What do you think your son took away? You said you both learned what you were going through in a deeper way.
He's right here. You can ask him.
Oh, that's your son.
Ask him. That's Nick.
Wow, I guess I should have known that at the beginning.
Come in here.
Come in here, man.
He wants to know what you took away. Here, I'm going to get you one of these.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
I was
thing real quick. His dad is trying so hard to make him included. I feel like, even though his dad's more outgoing and more, it could be perceived as overpowering, but I see both sides. Like, I also see him trying so hard to make him a part of it and to make people see him and like to almost like want him to be an individual and to succeed on his own and have his own thoughts, his own, you know what I'm saying? But he's like trying to help him. And it's probably because his whole life he had to kind of do that, because Nick's personality, it was like Rob probably always had to give him extra attention, extra to help him through everything. So we're seeing that come out in these interviews, I feel like. But I feel like it's all coming from love. Like, it's not coming from like, I don't see it. I'm learning. So my opinion might change as I learn and I look through stuff. But right now I don't see it as like a narcissist thing or like this full of himself thing. I see it as him knowing the game, being a part of it for years, knowing the whole, Hollywood thing, and trying to make his son a part of it and trying to like help him be a part of it by providing his expertise or providing what he could do for him. And you know what I'm saying? So I look at it as like, it's coming from a loving place, but I could see how he could have felt overshadowed at points. He could have felt like overpowered, but you could tell it's coming from a loving place as of right now. But like, you know what I'm saying? I'm still trying to study this, but to me right now, it seems like it's coming from a loving place. Do you guys have any different opinions? I mean, you could see how you could see how his dad's not meaning any harm. His dad actually wants to help him. His dad's not trying to overstep him and like being the star of it. He's actually trying to build it up. And since his son's so awkward, he's putting a little of himself into the interviews and trying to make it big for his son. This is how I'm viewing it. So it's not like, I don't feel like he's doing it to like, he wants the recognition for it. He wants to overpower. He's trying to make it so his son could have something and be known or something. That's how I'm taking it. But I can see both sides. Yes. I could see how his son could have felt a different way. Okay. Let's see. Sorry.
Really interested in what you were saying about the baseball thing and how relatable it was.
Yeah. It just, someone said having a child is like your heart is running around outside your body unprotected.
Yeah.
And I couldn't put it any better. And I was thinking on the way here, and I try to talk about this stuff in my act because this is the stuff that I think matters, is like, I am at times that parent that I would mock who lives through his kid. And I'm sure when you were going through your pain, your dad was going through. My son is in a baseball slump, which is nothing compared to what you guys went through. And I literally couldn't sleep a couple of nights. And so I totally understand. So I'm curious, what did you figure out was going on with him during all of this as a result of the movie?
Well, I think I'm lucky in the sense that I have parents that care about me. And because of that, when I would go out and do things like drugs and stuff like that, I'd feel a tremendous amount of guilt because I'd think, oh, they're thinking about me right now. They want me to do good. And most people don't have, not most people, but some people don't have parents that are, have any interest in them.
Yeah. By the way, we're talking with Nick Reiner and his father, Rob Reiner. Nick had a drug issue in his teens and beat it and wrote a movie about it. His dad directed it. And
you see, he just said something that really got me, which is that deep down, he trusted that we loved him and that we were there for him, and that put a little bit of a brake on certain things. I mean, it's a desire to survive, and that put a little, and I think that's where we made the mistake, is that we didn't trust that he had that.
If you supported him as opposed to
that
you
he
were
would have
punishing
that
him.
Yes, we were definitely
meaning like
punishing
grounding him.
and-
You can't use the car. You got to stay home. All that
just
stuff.
the whole idea of throwing him into a rehab
Yeah.
place, just saying, okay. And there's a punitive aspect.
But if you hadn't done that, how could you treat him on? You couldn't treat him on your own.
No, not on our own, but we could have maybe just worked with him with a therapist and, been a little bit more active in that way. I think we just overreacted, but I mean,
Nick,
I love hearing that he said that, because I knew he has that in
Yeah.
him. And there's a part of him that wants to survive, and he doesn't want to, kill himself or anything.
Why were you so deep into drugs? What do you think, maybe with distance you can answer this, maybe not, was the sort of the underlying issues for you that were driving you there?
I don't think this is any different than most people going through their teenage years, but I think that I was very, I had no identity and I had no passions. And I think the reason I had no identity was because, I have a famous dad and a famous grandpa, and they sort of, that fame sort of informs who you are. So I wanted to etch out my own identity with a more rebellious, angry, drug addicted sort of persona.
Go the opposite of what you're.
There you go. He's very what is the word? Self-aware of stuff. Like a lot of people would, well, he's sober at this moment, but a lot of people might not even recognize that. Maybe these days more people are like, but yeah, he's aware of what he has. No identity. He felt like he had no identity. So what did he do? He turned to drugs for his identity, because you know what I'm saying? So then he sobers up. He does this movie to try to build his own identity through movies, like his dad, trying to be a part of the business. Okay. Now, why this is the only movie we hear about, why nothing else was done. He did that nonprofit, didn't even last a year. Obviously did he not have what it takes, or did he couldn't get off drugs long enough? And as I keep researching more, I'll have the answers. I'm going to figure all this stuff out as we all are looking into it. I've only been looking into it for a day, plus I've been still looking into other cases, so I haven't been able to give my full time to it. But yeah, that's interesting. He said that. What do you guys think about that?
Father and your grandfather are in terms of
because
that. But did you also think you wanted to be, through the haze of all of that you wanted to be an artist of some kind, whether it's a writer or a director or producer, that you wanted to do something in this business?
No, I had no idea. And that's what aided to the drug use, was because I had nothing to fill my time. I had nothing to look forward to.
Well, wait, you're a teenager in high school. You're living, your parents, as famous as they are, seem like they're very normal people. Your dad coached T-ball.
Normal. We're crazy.
Well, we're all crazy.
Like
My mother, yeah,
everybody.
we're right. But my point is, there are things to do in high school, right? Like whether if it's not sports, it's music, a chess club. I don't know. Your interest didn't really lie anywhere at that point.
Well, I was really into basketball, but I'm a white Jew, so I couldn't really continue that for a long time. And it just seemed like I didn't want to go into that business. But
Yeah.
now, I'm going into it as a drug addict of a famous.
It's kind of ironic that the thing that
came out of
came out of it, and you ended up and do you find that I mean, obviously I know for anybody with an addiction problem it's day to day, but how do you deal with issues that we all have, and now that you don't have drugs to use? What is it? Can you talk to your dad and your mom more openly about things, or do you seek help other ways?
when he was saying before, like how I was scared to get in trouble if I were to tell them the truth, because they always say, be honest, be honest, be honest. And that's the best policy. But it's kind of not the best policy when you're honest and you get in more trouble than you were if you were lying.
Exactly what my son said. I'm going to send you this link. That's I said to him, because, okay, it's the summer. Okay. We go. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. But we go to a place. We go to a place up in. We got a place up in Connecticut. So I'm walking down the street with my wife, and he rounds the corner with like 4 or 5 of his friends, and I can see the shadows. And he's got a backpack. And one of the kids has a backpack, and I hear ditch it, and they throw the backpack. So as they walk by, my son's like all cool and doesn't really want to talk to me in front of his friends. I go, I'll pick up that backpack for you and keep it at the house, right? So I pick up the backpack, and it's filled with a bunch of Bud Light beers. And they had gone down by the railroad tracks, had a little fire, and they, you know, whatever. And this is like the first time for us to confront that, right? So I then interrogated him like a lawyer, and I got it out of him that, you know, he had paid for it. And, you know, it was a lot of like sort of obfuscate, you know, just sort of, I didn't do this, I did that. Okay. And I asked him on the podcast, why do you lie? And he said, because when you do the calculation of the chances of getting caught versus telling the truth and the ramifications of getting punished for telling the truth, you take the odds of lying and getting caught for lying. And which I think is exactly what you
or
just
living
said.
with the guilt of lying. You know, you're like, I'll take that rather than getting
Did you
an
feel
actual
guilt? I don't know if somebody at that age feels guilt. Did you feel guilt?
I did honestly feel guilt. I'm not
Yeah.
just saying that for sympathy points, but you know, you feel bad when you lie to your parents.
Yeah.
But it's designed for you to lie, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And I was fascinated by that. And when you did the drugs, I guess it sort of just alleviated all of that. It took you away from all of that, and just, it was obviously self-medicating, and just you were able to relax or feel relaxed. And
There was a level of self-medication. There was also a level of doing something radical and doing something to get outside of myself and comfort zone.
yeah. Yeah. What is, I had a friend who was in AA, he ultimately died, literally killed himself from drinking. And I remember visiting him, and he was in denial. It was all these other people who literally was that line, like they got it. Did you get anything out of being in those different facilities? Were you able to take anything away long-term that's helping you?
You know what I really took away, and I usually bash the programs in AA, but I'll say something positive, which is the feeling of, okay, there's other people out here that suffer from the same thing that I suffer from, and they're willing to talk about it. And that's why I think we did this movie, is because we feel it's important to be upfront about this sort of stuff.
So how was it? I can imagine just me directing my son's work and then putting my butt in my nose in, and you're obviously a great writer. So, they wrote the screenplay, I would imagine, as a director? You maybe tweaked it in places?
I worked with them. I mean, over the course of a year, you know, I helped.
Was it hard to not to give him his space, you know, and maybe, you know, want something to be changed but leave it alone because he really felt strongly? Or how did that, how was it for you working with him?
We hashed everything out. I mean, some things became fights, other things, you know, we hashed it out.
He told me something that was really fascinating to me, and everything clicked after that. He was like, there's one person on the set that has to make the final decision, whether it's right or wrong, it has to be made, and that's the director. And so after I heard that, I was like, okay, I'll do what he wants me to do. I'll try my best on it, but ultimately it's up to him what gets into the movie.
Yeah.
But the other thing was, there were times when you know, Nick would fight for certain types of things, and you know, my first instinct was I have a lot more experience. But then as we went along, I realized that, yeah, I may have a lot more experience making movies, but I don't have a lot more experience on this particular subject, and particularly what the young guy is going through. So, you know, I told him many times he's the heart and soul of the film, and he would have better insights as to what Charlie was experiencing.
Did you see that look he gave? I don't know if that was anything. Watch. When he says, I told him many times he was the heart and heart and soul of the
No,
film.
I
Hold
wouldn't.
on, let me rewind this.
Guy is going through. So, you know, I told him many times he's the heart and soul of the film, and he would have better insights as to what
I know he went
Charlie
did his
was
nose, but he
experiencing
looked
than
at
I
him
would,
first,
and
like
I would defer to him a lot.
when he said, like,
And
I don't
were
know.
you surprised to hear the things that he didn't understand about you, or did understand about you when you were going through that as a result of the process of writing and making the movie?
We both had no idea where each other were coming from but then we
Come on in, Romy. She just it's a
blockage.
issue. Yeah.
Is that's your
sister?
That's our daughter. That's Romy.
Come in. You want to be on? Oh, all right. How old is she?
She's 18.
Oh, all right. Nice to meet you. Are you going to college next year? Where? Oh, yeah. I ski up there. My buddy John Fitzpatrick has a house up there. Yeah, it's great. Good skiing. And you'll probably get discount passes to go ski. That'll be good.
She's the
nice to meet you.
best.
You're welcome to come on and talk if you want about anything. Whatever you want. Nah, it's about anything. It's loose. It's a podcast. That's the beauty of it. So you were saying, sorry, that you
So he was looking at her the whole time, which was kind of like this guy was talking to her, and did you notice he was looking at his sister the whole time and then said, "You're the we'll watch some more of this, but I want to cut out of this and read a little bit. I found a couple interesting articles to read that I haven't seen yet. So we'll go back to this. Because the other one I have on here, I'm not going to go through with you guys. If you guys want to watch my video, check it out. But I'm not, because it's one that's more like heavily everybody's posting it. And I don't know. Just because I want to go through some of the stuff that's popping up now. But we will finish this one, okay? But I want to play this, or I want to read this to you guys. A few different articles. Okay. So first, let me do this one. Wait, hold on. Yeah. Okay. So first I want to do that. I want to read this. There's like 4 articles that I just saw that I want to read that seem interesting. Okay. Rob Reiner's son, Nick, stormed off after a tense talk with Bill Hader at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. Let's see. I haven't read this yet. Okay. So this says Rob Reiner's son, Nick, reportedly stormed out of Conan O'Brien's Christmas party after a tense conversation with actor Bill Hader, a 32-year-old who has been arrested. Okay, I'm not going to read some of the repetitive stuff so we can get through stuff quicker. Okay. Okay, so he has been arrested in connection to his parents' murders. Allegedly interrupted a conversation the comedian was having at the annual bash on Saturday night. According to the Insider, Hader told the screenwriter the conversation was private, and the latter stood and stared before storming off. So, okay, what I'm gathering here. So Hader is talking to somebody in a private conversation. Nick goes and interrupts the conversation. And see if I'm understanding this, what you guys are getting from it. So Nick interrupts the conversation, and Hader's like, hey, this is a private conversation. And instead of Nick just leaving, Nick just kind of stood there and stared before storming off. Weird guy, dude. This guy's odd. That's Hader right there. Reps for Hader and O'Brien did not immediately respond to Page 6 request for comment. Sources previously told the Post that Nick allegedly freaked out and had a loud argument with Rob inside the bash. They had an argument at Conan's party. Rob had been telling people that they're scared for Nick and scared of his mental state was deteriorating. So that's all stuff we already read. Okay. The friend claimed that Nick, who has had a history of violence and drug use, was badly addicted to a combo of opiates and heroin. Okay. See if there's anything else new in this. Separate sources told people that Nick was acting crazy throughout the night of the party and kept asking people if they were famous. The feud led to the director and his wife, Michelle, leaving the bash. Okay. Okay, so I think that's all in this article I want to read. Oh, wait, let's see. Oh, here. Metro station. Okay. He was arrested and charged with murder later that night after LAPD reportedly located him by a metro station near the University of Southern California. Wait, is that out? Dramatic footage showed the businessman being pinned to the ground as an officer placed him in handcuffs. He's currently in Twin Towers Correctional Facility where he's being held without bail. Phew, is that? I didn't know that was out. Is that video out? Ooh, hold on, hold on. I have to reshare. How long is this? All right, hold on. I'm gonna have to reshare the page. Hold on, because my audio, because of this. But the ads are playing. Did you guys see that? I haven't seen that. I hope it really is that. We'll have to wait till this is done. Wow, I didn't see that. Gotta wait for the stupid ads. Watch it not even show it. Oh, there's photos, but let's see if this shows a video and then we'll look for the photos. Should be on any minute. What? Another freaking thing? How many we got here? Hold on. Hopefully it's not gonna just not show it. Hold on, I'm gonna start looking up other stuff and find it. I don't want to click on that other thing down below because in case if it is going to come after this. Oh, there is a picture. But I want to wait to see if there's video. There's pictures of it. I did see that picture. Never mind. I saw the picture, but let's see if there's a video. And then I'll show you the picture. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's a picture I saw earlier today. I didn't even realize for some reason. But I want to see. If there's another ad, I'm going to be so mad. There. It's just a picture. Gosh darn it. So that was true. This is where they always get the copyright is when I play clips. So I'm not going to play this. You guys can watch the trailer. It's all, I mean, you can find it, but I'm not going to get copyrighted for a 2-second clip of a movie. I can't. Yeah, he didn't keep you safe. Freaking murder you. Right? That's crazy. Yeah. So that's the picture right there. Those are all the other pictures we've seen, but let me see. So let's see. This article, a lot of it repeats the same stuff, but there's always one little new thing in it. So this one, I want to read the part where it talks about, let's see, hold on. The dramatic, no, that's the wrong one. Hold on. This one is what I do. So it says Rob believed his son was sober in his drug addiction battle 3 months before the murder. So he thought he was sober, which, I mean, we don't know what the deal was. Rob's son, Nick, was in a really good place 3 months before allegedly murdering his parents. The director spoke to NPR in September about his 32-year-old being more than 6 years clean from drugs while promoting the Spinal Tap sequel. Wow. It says that he insisted to the outlet that Nick had been doing great. Well, he could have been, Nick could have convinced him that he was sober, and he wasn't. I don't know where my mom saw that he was wanted money for a movie. I don't see it anywhere. She told me that she read it somewhere this morning. So don't quote me on that when I said that earlier. I thought it would come up. She said that she saw that it said that the argument was about him, about his dad not giving him money for a movie because he wasn't convinced he was sober. I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask her where she got that. It says during the interview, Rob reflected on collaborating with Nick on Being Charlie. The Emmy winner compared himself to the father character in the film, played by Carl Ills, and explained he was never ever too busy for Nick. Instead, Rob admitted, I mean, if anything, I was the other way, I was more hands-on and trying to do whatever I thought I could do to help. He acknowledged that he made mistakes, and he has talked to Nick about that since. The same month, Nick joined his father, as well as his mom and siblings, Jake and Romy, at the Spinal Tap. That was just in September, the Spinal Tap premiere. And then he went to the Conan party with him. Wow, that's a picture I haven't seen yet. Looks like Jake's graduation, and there's Nick. They all look so happy. Wow. Let's see. Not only did the couple get into a very loud argument with their child, according to TMZ, but people reported Nick was freaking everyone out, acting crazy, kept asking people if they were famous, and then interrupting Bill Hader and storming off. Jane Fonda was also a guest and wrote via Instagram on Monday, Rob looked happy and healthy on his final night alive. Man. They were found, their bodies were found by daughter Romy. And we already saw that he left behind a scene in the hotel room, from a blood-filled bath to blood-stained bed sheets. Wow. Man. It's sad because his dad was trying to help him, but he was really enabling him in reality. But like even his dad in those interviews, you hear that he doesn't know. He's not an expert on it. He's just listening to what the people in the coats behind the desk or whatever were saying. Like he doesn't know because I mean he's just trying to learn. Like how do you raise somebody or how do you handle a kid that's struggling with that? And so like him doing things was probably actually enabling him, but like not on. I mean, it's tough. It's tricky. It said his addiction his addiction struggles began in his teens, and he spent years homeless and in and out of rehab. It says in a chilling comment during a 2015 interview, Rob looked back on a very hard times for their family. The number one job of any parent is to keep their child safe, and I hadn't done that, the actor said at that time. And now here I have done that. I kept him safe. He came out alive. That's so crazy because they didn't come out alive. He's trying to do everything to help his son, and his son ends up killing him. Sick. Makes me sick. What? What is that? I didn't know that. Wow. Huh. Let's see if there's anything else interesting. What? Whoa, that's interesting. Nick Lost his virginity to a sex worker paid with money stolen from parents Rob and Michelle. Did you guys hear that? Nick once admitted to losing his virginity to a sex worker he paid with stolen money from his parents, Rob and Michelle, years before his arrest in connection to their tragic deaths. I was looking at the different Craigslist profiles, and this one profile picture was just an ass shot. The Screenwriter 32 revealed on the Dopey podcast in 2017. That's the only thing that was her profile picture, and it had a number, he detailed. I called her up, and when I was about 14 or something, and her going rate was $200 Wow, that's crazy. This is the part of the story that I don't usually tell, but I'll tell it anyway. I got 200 from my parents. He clarified that he didn't tell his parents what the money was for. I didn't say, "Hey, look, I'm going to be with the sex worker tonight. Do you think you have an extra 200?" It was also like 1 a.m. She comes over. I didn't know how it worked. I tried to kiss her. She didn't want that, he detailed. Describing the experience, Nick admitted to not finding the woman attractive, but not caring because he was young. I was like, "This is awesome," he continued. I lasted 15 seconds. I kind of felt like shit, but I was like, "That's awesome." Then I realized I had more money on me, and I called her back. She came for a second time. I never asked her name, and I never really got into any specifics or anything. Explaining he ate a pot brownie beforehand and was extremely blazed. But I still would have done it if I was sober, he said. Nick, who has been in and out of rehab, admitted to getting the idea to contact a sex worker online through a fellow outpatient rehab patient. Fellow outpatient rehab patient. Yeah, I guess that did say that. A neighbor of the couple told Post on Monday that Nick had a history of violence, but they never thought it would ever get to that point. So that's the thing. Like, he probably did a lot more drugs than he ever would have been able to do if his parents didn't keep giving him money. So his addiction probably was way heavier since he had money. Not that poor drug addicts don't get high, they do, but they don't have a lot of money at their disposal. Like, he probably had a lot more and was probably at a very high drug addiction because he was probably getting money from his parents, right? The sex worker thing. What if his dad didn't give him $200? He probably wouldn't have had money to pay for. So I'm not saying I blame his dad, because I don't. But there's a thing called enabling that people don't realize. When it's your loved ones, you're not purposely doing it, but and that's why Rob, if you listen to one of his interviews, he says the one we just listened to, they say that they told him tough love. That's the key, tough love. He just seemed like a guy with a big heart that couldn't do it. He couldn't give the tough love that was needed for his son. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's hard. I don't think I'd be able to do it either. Like, I don't know, since I have experience and I went through it myself. I don't know. I don't have any kids, but I'm thinking like I would struggle because I'm like an empath in a way where like I would feel so bad and I would want to help them, and I understand the concept of enabling, my degree is in psychology. Like, I understand that, but like, it doesn't mean like when you're the person that it's that easy to do. It's hard. So I don't fault him at all. I'm just saying, looking back, it created more of a monster. Oh, really? Rehab for what, Amber? Because he was acting like in 2015 he didn't understand the whole addiction thing, but maybe he just wasn't in denial, or maybe he's looking at like heroin and meth, and he's like, maybe his is alcohol or something more like socially acceptable. So he's thinking it's two different things. In reality, alcohol could be even more scary, because for one thing, you could die from the withdrawals. The withdrawals are horrible. Yeah, opiate withdrawals are freaking horrible. They're probably the worst, but you don't die from them. They're just like, a lot of people will continue using because you can't go through the withdrawals, and some people don't even want to keep using, but the withdrawals are just, case in point, me, I would have quit way before if it wasn't for withdrawals. You can't go through those, even if it's like a couple weeks of just like, oh, the first few days are the worst. And it's like you try and you just can't get through it because each second feels like an hour. I mean, it's crazy. You can't sleep. You can't sleep it off. And that's what sucks. But what I was going with alcohol is so dangerous because it's legal. Okay. So it's like you could just go to the bar. It's socially acceptable. So you could be out using it in front of people. And yeah, it's just crazy. I'm not saying I don't know what Rob was, but that's interesting that I wonder what it is. But my point is like when he was saying that he doesn't have experience in his head, he probably was being honest, not realizing maybe alcoholics or different kinds of drugs is really, there's no difference. It's just, there is, but there isn't. I don't know how to explain it. Addiction is addiction, like a drug addict is a drug addict. It's just socially, it looks different. So people look at like heroin or meth addicts and it's like, whoa, that's so different. But addiction is, you know what I'm saying? It's still the same. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, unless if it just happened after the movie got made and he's real in just life, maybe his son, I don't know, and he just started using something. I don't know. I didn't hear that though. You're saying Rob, the dad, you're saying went to rehab. Is that what you're saying? Amber, let me see if I could find anything on it because I haven't seen anything like that yet. But of course, I've only been trying to look into this a day and a half, so I don't know everything. I wanted to watch this too, though. I'd have to find the one where he has them on. But you're saying Rob. Okay, hold on. Let me try to find something. Um, hmm. I'm trying to find something that says that. Huh. That Rob was in a rehab that maybe didn't finish it, but I mean, it's still, I don't know. Huh. I can't find it, but I'll keep that open in my head as I'm searching, see if anything comes up. What's this? Let's see what this. I don't know. Let's see what this is real quick. Well, I don't know. Okay, hold on one second. Um, anyway, interesting. What are you saying? Hey, Zap. Hey, ASB, how are you? Yeah, alcohol and benzos. Yep. Those are the two. 100%. Yep. Yeah, he talked about being on meth. Oh, where did I see that? One of the quotes. I don't remember if it's in the video I did, but yeah, he talked about I think on the podcast maybe. About being on meth. Yep. But yeah, benzos and alcohol. And that's why benzos, it's like if doctors they need to tell these people to like wean themselves off. If you wean yourselves off the benzos, that's the way you have to do it, or you could die. Yeah, it's crazy. And then alcohol, it's just wow. Okay, let me try to look at it. Lord Buckley. Hold on, let me try to find it. Wait, what episode did you say it was? Hold on, let me see. Episode 26. Okay, it popped right up. Let's see. And how far in? Hold on. End of the toward the end. Okay. Because I don't want to watch the whole thing, but all right. So let's see. How far is it farther than this? Oh shoot, hold on. Farther? Is it farther? Because I'm probably like here. I don't know what you mean. Do you mean towards the end, like the last couple minutes or the last half? Help me out here because this is an hour long and I'm not going to be able to watch all because I want to work on some other stuff. um, I'm actually wanting to end this. That's what I was just talking about. Enabling. Yeah, it is. I don't know where it's at. I don't know. I don't know, I'm not what the heck? I don't wanna really watch this whole thing, I just wanted to watch I don't know. Okay, there it is. Let me do it on normal and rewind it. It was, okay, well, yeah, I guess so, huh? That doesn't even make sense, though, rehab to relax, why don't you just take a vacation? But he's saying you can look it up. Can you look it up and it comes up? Because where? Rob Reiner. Rehab. Let me see if I could find it. He acted like it's just, well, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. I found it. I found it. Look. Thanks, Amber. You're right. Here you go. It says Rob Reiner checks himself into a facility over Trump election. Series of into a facility today after a series of increasingly alarming blue sky posts in wake of Donald Trump's election. Reiner, who made himself as a character, a Mike Meathead, okay, All in the Family, has not been taking the results of the election well, the 2024. An outspoken Democrat and activist, Reiner engaged in a prolonged social media meltdown that started when the election of Donald Trump was called on November 5th and ended with a trip to a mental health facility early this morning. The director films like Princess Bride, okay, but quickly found out that it wasn't social media paradise he assumed it would be. What it says, the director films like Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, left Elon Musk's X platform for Blue Sky, but quickly found out that it wasn't the social media paradise he assumed it would be. All the abuse and hate from Twitter has now spewed over to here. All the abuse and hate from Twitter has now spewed over to here, Reiner opined. There seems to be no point anymore. On November 20th, Rob unleashed a series of posts on the platform that continued late into the night, ultimately culminating in his arrival at a facility for his mental health. Wow. He started off by calling the incoming president a fascist and claimed that the United States had fallen. Okay. Republicans have no idea what they have done, Reiner said. Just yesterday at 8:45, America has fallen. MAGA just do not understand the consequences of electing a fascist like Donald. At 10:57, Reiner continued to rail against Blue Sky after receiving pushback on his earlier post. Apparently, when you spend your evening screaming about how evil half the country is, eventually they bite back. The platform is vile, racist, and evil, he claimed. It did not take long for MAGA scum to come spread their lies. Seemingly disillusioned over the fact that Blue Sky was not the echo chamber he sought, Reiner's evening tantrum turned toward the defending comedian and talk show host Ellen DeGeneres, who recently followed through on a pre-election promise, leaving the country over Trump's election. DeGeneres, along with her wife Portia, permanently relocated to the UK this week. Ellen, whom I have known for a long time and is a beautiful and caring woman, had the right idea. Reiner said at 11:25 about the talk show host who had faced a swell of abuse allegations from a former staff members. She obviously does not want to be a part of a place that is filled with hate, evil, and fascism. Much respect to her for standing up to the madness. This is Rob saying this. Speaking of madness, Reiner's next Blue Sky post came at 12:23 a.m. The former meathead confirmed that he would be checking himself into a facility for the next few days. I have made a decision to take the next few days to check into a facility for peace and relaxation, Reiner said. No phone, social media, no trolls, just calmness to heal my pain. Since that post 14 hours ago, Reiner has been silent on social media. Rob Reiner might be the first celebrity to be driven into a mental health facility by the election result, but he's far from the only celebrity having a mental crisis over it. Mark Hamill left X after scrubbing his account of any election post and has been mostly silent. Mark Ruffalo nearly cried and made strangers hug one another while delivering a speech to the ACLU in the wake of Trump's win. Whoopi Goldberg nearly destroyed a Staten Island bakery that's been around for over a century after claiming they refused to serve her over politics. Sebastian Stan claimed no one would help him promote his movie, The Apprentice, over fear of Trump. Rachel Ziegler had to issue an apology after a wild social media rant where she appeared to wish harm on the incoming president and all supporters. So the way I take it, it's not drugs, though. This is a mental health crisis. So I don't look at, when I read this article, I don't see that it's because of drugs. I think it's a mental health thing. He was very, well, we read why. Yeah, I don't think that means he was on drugs. I didn't get that at all. So I'm glad I found that, because now I'm glad I didn't start saying that in my lives that, oh, maybe he was on drugs, because I don't get that was about drugs at all from that. Just a mental health crisis from the election and stuff. So Interesting. Anyway, I don't I'm getting that he went to the mental health, like he went for his mental health. I'm not saying that he went to a drug rehabilitation. If this article was accurate, it just sounds like he checked himself into a like a psych ward, mental health type thing. He checked himself in mentally. He wasn't. He was losing it, so he checked himself in to a rehabilitation for like mental health. Yeah, you could check your. I mean, I'm not getting it that he went to a drug rehab. I don't know. I'll look more into it, but this article doesn't make it seem like he went to no drug rehab. It makes it he went to the hospital, mental health, like from some kind of mental rehabilitation. Let me see how they worded it. A facility. You had some kind of meltdown, mental something. So he checked himself in. There's places, people aren't doing well mentally. He checked himself in, and maybe some people word it as a rehab, but it's not like a drug addiction. It's not for drug addictions. That's not how I'm taking it. It's for some kind of mental. So a lot of people that struggle with drug addictions do struggle with something mentally wrong. Obviously, drug addiction is usually a symptom, not a cause. Like it's not the cause, it's the symptom of something bigger. So not all the time. I'm saying there's always, but a lot of the times it's a symptom of whatever you're struggling with. He's had, some people could struggle with some kind of, mentally issues, but they don't turn to drugs. It doesn't sound like I haven't seen anything where it's saying he turned to drugs. He just checked himself in because he was not thinking clearly. It sounds like he was just kind of, I don't know, thought that he needed. Now, I do agree that it's not like, oh, he just need rest and relaxation. Go on a vacation. He wasn't mentally, something was wrong that he had to check himself in to a mental facility. That's what I get from it. So I get why that guy said, oh, he wasn't like, oh, for rest and relaxation or whatever. That's a stupid excuse. That's obviously you would go on vacation somewhere and have some peace that way. Obviously, he was struggling with something mentally that he needed some professional help, is how I get it. But I'll look more into it. But nothing is screaming drugs as I'm looking through this. It's screaming something mentally because he couldn't handle Trump getting elected. And he feels so strongly about it that it was probably something mentally that was brewing for years, like who, and that was just the boiling point when Trump won. It's just like, oh, and he was having like a nervous breakdown, and he needed some professional help, is how I take that. But interesting, yeah, interesting. I never would have probably found that because I would never have typed in those specific words to see that, because I would never have found that guy's podcast. I doubt. Maybe it would have came up in articles. Who knows? It might end up. But I'm glad. Thank you for telling me, because I never would have typed in that specific words to bring this up. Yeah. Just says facility. Interesting. All right, guys. Crazy story, guys. I will be keeping you guys updated. Have a good one.